He retired as assistant director, not as a substantive director. Now, he is coming back as the director general. That means he is going to come and be the head of his seniors in the agency.
Is there anything wrong in that?
Yes, it is.
We've seen that happen in this country so many times.
But he doesn't make it right. I'll give you an example. The director general of DSS retired as a director. And when the president appointed him as the director general, it is natural, consistent with organizational principle, consistent with the principle of fair play, consistent with the need to keep the integrity of agencies like the intelligence agencies like DSS. Now, there is something called bad blood, insubordination, misunderstanding, and lack of loyalty. It often occurs where a junior is appointed above the head. And in most cases, if you want to cure that, you will see people pushing for the retirement of all the people that were his senior. In other words, the entire structure of an institution is shaken because of an individual at a time when, as a nation, we are talking about institutional building. So I ask you the question, should directors be retired because a former assistant director is appointed? That is one. Two, the national security dimension. He was said to have been born, schooled, and bred in the Republic of Chad.
Is there anything wrong with that?
I will explain.
Is he a Nigerian in the first place?
He is a Nigerian, and having lived that, there is an information that he's also a Chadian president. When
Chadian?
I say Chadian citizen,
okay,
by virtue of that. Now, it is yet to be substantiated, but the point is, there is a distinction between appointing someone as a minister and appointing somebody as a head of a spy agency. Now, there is what is called baseline background check. There is what is called an advanced background check. If you, Shaun, you are going to be appointed as a minister, there is going to be a background check that will be carried out by the relevant agencies. They will go as far as the town where you were born to get details, information about you up to this moment and this night that you are here. In other words, there must not be a moment in your life from when you are born till this moment that the government does not have a knowledge of, because you are going to have access to government information.
But does the law say that you cannot be the DG of NIA or such an organization carrying dual citizenship?
No, you can have dual citizenship. You can have dual citizenship, but we're talking about national interest. Like I told you, if you look at the National Intelligence Act, the national security. Why is this the story in America? Why is the probe on Russia? Because if you are going to be appointed as a head of a security agency and a thorough background check is not carried out on you, you can be used as an object of blackmail by people outside the country.
All right. For a moment, let's get some other perspective to this, Mr. Bwala.
Right.
I have joining me from our Abuja studio, Dr. Uche Diala and also Mr. Godwin Ogboji. Mr. Godwin Ogboji is a security consultant and also a lawyer, and Dr. Uche Diala is a public affairs commentator. Let me begin with Dr. Diala tonight on the program. Do you agree with Mr. Bwala on the issues of competency? And perhaps I should start by asking you, do you think that there is some sort of favoritism in what the president has done, especially as it relates to the appointment of the DG of NIA, Mr. Rufai Abubakar?
Yeah, good evening, Shaun. I would first want us to be a little bit cautious. You know, I see there are a lot of emotions that are being expressed in the nation when certain issues come up. A number of issues has been raised. If you look on the surface at the appointments of the president as regards the security, heads of security agencies, and maybe even some other appointments. On the surface, you could say, you know, where Nigerians could say maybe it's heavy on one side. But I'm one person that is also careful when I look at issues. That's where the issues of competence comes in. I think that it's important to understand and to appreciate that the president, like you said, you know, has prerogative. And I believe also that the president deserves the men that he wants to work with. Because at the end of the day, it is the president that is going to be held accountable if he fails or if he succeeds. From what we have seen on paper, the new DG is qualified, is competent to hold that position. Are there other issues that are thrown up? Yes, there are other issues that are thrown up. But I would be careful that we don't just look at all those issues purely from the perspective of sentiments. But if there's any place that there is some serious issues, because if you see the issue of whether he's a dual citizen, I mean, it's agreed that even if he has dual citizenship, it doesn't preclude him from holding such a position. And also, you know, in terms of, you know, I've heard what the respected lawyer over there has said in terms of, you know, being an assistant director before he's coming back and all that. Now, I would just say that we should put all the issues on the table and take it holistically and not just get sentimental about it and take them one. And if there's reason to complain about it, why not? We complain about it to the president, and I'm sure that he would look at it.
Well, let me come to you again. I'll allow Mr. Ogboji to come into this, but the big question is, have you looked at the issue of security appointments generally? Are you comfortable with perhaps what some criticisms about the president's appointment, especially when you have most of the security officers, the top security appointments coming from perhaps one region of the country?
Well, again, I say I'm a Nigerian, and I mean, I would want to see some people from other regions appointed to those positions. But, you know, I'm picking my words carefully here because, you know, many times we get carried away with a whole lot of sentiments. And I'm not saying that those sentiments are not justified. But if those sentiments are pursued at the expense of competence, and somebody again will easily say there are competent people all over the nation. But if for some reason, because if you take all these things bit by bit, it's not as if these appointments were all done at the same time. If you look at the time that the Chief of Army Staff was appointed, Buratai, that was a time that we needed some individual, some officer who was battle-tested, who was ready, who was competent to tackle the security issues of Boko Haram at the time. And I think that I was one of those. Many people agreed that the man was thoroughly competent to do the job. Okay. And he did.
Just for a moment, we need to take a break now, Mr. Diala, and we'll come back into the conversation. Well, up next on the program, everyone, is President Buhari recruiting wrongly or recruiting from the right people, from the wrong places? Or we continue with the discussion when we return, everyone.